And we're going to go to another one and a wild card. And we might as well just start it off with Kevil. Start it off with a bang because we are discussing the Anaheim Ducks versus the Calgary Flames. Kev, let's set it off on the good path right here.
Well, this series is the key of this series is going to be game one. The Calgary Flames have not won in Anaheim since I think Trent, were you born? Trent was born. Mitch was born the last time that the Flames won in Anaheim. So it was in 2004. It is 26 straight regular season games. I think it's most important for the Flames to win game one of this series. For me, as a Flames fan, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but I think if they can take this to a 6 or 7 game series, I'm actually going to be happy with that because this team is building to something special. And we're going to get into another series here that I'm going to make a bold statement. So I'm not picking the Flames to win. I just don't. I look at this. It's the Anaheim Ducks are their bugaboo. It's if they got by here, I think it's a huge confidence boost. But it's just Anaheim is so confident over the Flames that it's not going to be one of those things. I think it's going to go 5, maybe 6, probably 5 games. And the Flames don't have the second least amount of pressure going into the playoffs other than the Maple Leafs. I don't think anybody's expecting them to win, so they can be loosey-goosey, but I think that you're building towards something. And that's the key, I think, to take away from the series. So Anaheim will win. I think about 5 or 6 games, but this is about a team that's growing into something that's going to be a bigger, better team going forward.
Interesting. I definitely thought you were going to go with the Flames.
Come on, Mitch. Mitch, none of us are going with the Flames.
Well, on paper, he's going with the Flames, but he's still going to be cheering his heart out every single game and hoping they win. Because if they do win, whatever, on paper, you pick them, but they're your team. It's kind of a win-win for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of on paper, looking at these stats, brought to you by NHL.com. The Calgary Flames are better in terms of goals for, power play percentage, and shot attempts. The rest of the factors go to Anaheim. That includes goals against, penalty kill, save percentage, face-off win percentage, point percentage, and shooting percentage. So it looks like Anaheim is definitely the favorite team, and they definitely are. I'm going to go with the similar thing that Kev said. I'm going to go 6 games for Anaheim. Anaheim, like Kev was referring to, is Anaheim just is that team for Calgary that they can't beat, it seems like. And Anaheim is also a team that I think is just the total polar opposite of Calgary. While Calgary is a team that features a lot of speed and skill, Anaheim is kind of a bigger team. You know, they like to hit you. They like to get rough and tough in the dirty areas. They have the big guys, Getzlaf, Perry. They're still running and rolling. They have some solid defense this year. I think that's improved overall from last year. Their goaltending has also improved. They've become a better team. They've won that weaker Pacific Division this year, and I think they did for a reason. I think they are the stronger team here, and I just like their experience a lot more over Calgary's youth in this series. I like what Calgary has going for them, but I just don't think this is their year to advance. I think Anaheim is going to take it in 6 games.
I mean, I think you summed it up perfectly there, Mitch. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I think, Mitch, you covered it pretty well. I mean, for me, the big thing is the size. I mean, you look at the size of the Anaheim Ducks up against that young Calgary Flames team. And yes, they are a little bit younger and they are a little bit more faster and kind of skilled. But, Anaheim, they've been there before. They're more complete. They know each other. The big difference for me is the goaltending for the Calgary Flames. I mean, both Brian Elliott and Chad Johnson, they've both had good seasons at some points, but they've also really, really dropped the ball in other points. I mean, I'm not saying that John Gibson is the best goaltender like in the NHL for the Anaheim Ducks, but I'm trying to hint at they also have a really good backup right now. I mean, Jonathan Bernier has 21 wins and 4 shutouts. And as a backup goaltender, I mean, if you can do that, clearly you're going to have a good goaltender no matter who you're putting in the net either way. Brian Elliott and Chad Johnson, for me, have both been shaky at certain points of the season, but have also stood on their head. And because of that, it's going to be a big difference maker for me. And I think that the Anaheim Ducks will walk away with this game in 5 games.
Yeah, you guys pretty much said everything I was going to say. The one difference, I have Anaheim in 5, actually. I think this Anaheim team is so much different than we've seen in the past. They haven't really had to rely on that heavy scoring of Getzlaf and Perry. Obviously, still great point producers, but obviously not the years we've seen when Perry won the Hart. And then look at Kessler. Kessler's kind of morphed himself into an offensive player. Like, obviously he's always, but if you look at his point totals this year, been very good. I look at Cam Fowler, looks, you know, sometimes how he plays, he reminds me a lot of Erik Karlsson in his offensive ability, but I think he's a bit better defensive. He doesn't have quite the offense that Karlsson has, but he's a good puck mover.
Fowler is hurt, right?
He's day-to-day.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll go with that. And also, the one thing I'll say about Calgary, I think they're about 3 years away of having a team that could go far in the playoffs, maybe to a West Final, maybe even to the Stanley Cup, because the way they're built, they have guys, I feel like a 27-year-old Monahan or like a 26 to 27 Goudreau, like those guys with experience, I think would be really good in the playoffs. It's just a matter of time for them. The one thing I will still give, though, I still give Calgary a little bit of an edge goaltending. I don't think it's going to matter in the end, just because of the experience of Elliott being with the Blues, being in some playoff hunts, because I still think Gibson, we've seen, can be shaky. He can stand on his head or he can be shaky. And still, I wouldn't trust Jonathan Bernier at all. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, Gibson will get most of the playing time. But at the end of the day, the Ducks, the way their team played this year and the type of style they play is perfect for playoff hockey. And I don't think Calgary's going to be able to keep up with them. So I think Ducks in 5.
I just want to point out something that I think I will give the goaltending edge to the Flames. I think Brian Elliott has played some of the best. It has been one of the hottest goalies in the second half of the season. But he's going to have to steal 4 games, and it's a psychological thing, right? So it's about winning one in Anaheim, which they haven't done in forever. So,
yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Kev said it himself.